Today I'm talking about the 10 Christmas movies I watch every year without fail, and also two movies that might be entering that category here soon.
Welcome back, sir. All systems for gaming will be prepared in a few minutes. For now, feel free to grab a cup of coffee and have a good day.
Hey everyone, Mike here. Welcome back to the Marvel Man Cave, and it is, I cannot believe, basically mid-December at this point in time, and so I'm a little bit late with this video, but we still have, what is it, 2 weeks until Christmas, so there's plenty of time to watch your Christmas movies, and I'm in the mood. You can see behind me, I'm decorated for Christmas, and I wanted to talk about the 10 movies that I watch every single year without fail. I always start the day after Thanksgiving and then watch as many of them as I can, but I always get to these 10 no matter what, and then we kind of add a few in. So I'm going to talk about my 10, and then I'm going to add two that we either started last year or this year that I think are going to become yearly staples. These are in no particular order from 10 to 1. These are just as I pulled them off the shelf and ones that are sitting over here that I want to talk about. But so first off the list is the movie Elf. I absolutely love this movie. I think most people do. Probably not most people because Will Ferrell is kind of a take it or leave it. But this is one of those movies that I just have to watch every year. This is one of those, like, I don't know how familiar I was with Will Ferrell when this movie first came out. I went and saw this movie because Jon Favreau was the director. Anybody who follows this channel for a certain period of time knows that I love the movie Swingers. I love Jon Favreau. So when I saw his name was attached to this, I knew I was going to go see it. Thought it was absolutely hilarious when I saw it in the theater. It has been a yearly watch ever since then. This might be cheating, but adding in, I would say the classic Christmas specials. We got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty's a Snowman, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I watch these every single year without fail. The Rankin and Bass stuff is just, I mean, it's classic. I grew up with them. These were the ones that every year you had to be sitting around the TV when it was going to be on generally the Sunday night that it was on, if you wanted to see it. And we always made sure we did. And I've kept that tradition up. But now I've just bought the disc. So now I can kind of watch them whenever I feel like. But my wife and I, we always end up watching these without fail every year. Another classic one from my childhood is the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, we last year we watched the Benedict Cumberbatch version of it. I'm a big fan of the Jim Carrey version. The original, I mean, it's the original. It's the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Again, another watch every single year. I remember when I was a kid and we used to sit and wait around the TV for when this would come on the air on broadcast TV. So it brings back great memories in that respect too. But just a fun story. I do like how the Jim Carrey version kind of built upon that story and obviously made it into a feature-length movie. Another nice thing is it's relatively short, so you can get into it without too much of a time commitment. So it's great for one of those, I would say, during the week watches whenever you're getting home from work before you got to go to bed and get up and do it all again the next day. I think this is one of the great ones to do that, along with the Rankin and Bass, because there's not a huge time commitment. Another one that I would say is a recent addition to the list is the movie White Christmas. Obviously a Christmas classic, but I remember when I was a kid, I had zero interest in this movie at all. I don't know if it was, I think I remember when I was a kid, it used to be in black and white. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I remember my mom and my dad used to put this on, and I was a teenager. I had no interest in the movie. I was like, this movie's old. I didn't took it for granted. But then as years have gone on and I've grown up, like, this is one of those movies that every year my dad would have on TV as I would watch. We would be celebrating Christmas, usually Christmas Day or that, Christmas Eve with my family. We had our traditions. And I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife and I started talking about wanting to watch this movie. And I think we found it on streaming at that point, but then I went ahead and bought the disc because it's a Christmas classic. It's a fun story. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I mean, it's just a great movie, and it's got such a heartfelt story where I would say the two, Bing Crosby and, oh my God, I can't believe Danny Kaye, decide they're former sergeant in the army. He's got this bed and breakfast in Vermont, but there's no snow, so he's got no customers, and he's struggling. And they basically bring their show because they are two very high-powered, say, Broadway producers and performers and they go up and they basically bring their whole show to this to kind of help out their former commander. And obviously, there's their love interest between George Clooney's mom and cannot remember the other lady off the top of my head. The romantic interest between these two is palpable as well. It's just a fun story. It's a Christmas classic. I mean, you got to watch White Christmas at least once in your life. Completely changing gears from White Christmas is the movie Violent Night. This is one of those that obviously a very recent addition to my yearly watch. I think I first watched it 2 years ago, and then I watched it last year. So this will only be the third year it's really in rotation. But I've watched it enough that I'm just like, this is just kind of one of those. I love David Harbour in general. Speaking of which, Stranger Things is going on right now. What do you think of the first 3, 4 episodes of season 5? I just thought it was such a fun idea of what if Santa Claus got trapped in the house while people were robbing the house or murdering people and stuff like it's such an outlandish premise. It really does feel like, I mean, everybody compares action movies at Christmas time to Die Hard, but it does kind of give that vibe of, that kind of like Home Alone meets Die Hard with Santa Claus. It's just a very fun movie, and I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it's a lot of fun, especially at Christmas time. You could look at my age and tell that you weren't getting away without seeing Home Alone on this list. I mean, it's Home Alone. Generally, we try to watch at least this one and the second one, but without fail, we always get the Home Alone one. Every year, we usually try to add at least one different movie into the rotation, so Home Alone 2 doesn't always make it into a yearly watch, but the original is always there. Every year when I watch this movie, I can still hear my dad's laughter in my ear when the wet bandits are going through Kevin's house and getting all the pummeling that they deserve. I can hear my dad laughing so hard, like one of those just like belly laughs. It was great to see my dad enjoying one of these movies so much. And obviously, I enjoyed it as a kid as well. It's just taken on different meaning as I've gotten older. And it's definitely one of those like, it's not Christmas if I haven't seen this movie. Speaking of not being Christmas when I haven't seen a movie, is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's the Christmas classic. My brother, for years and years, there was a competition in our apartment complex on who had the most Christmas decorations. And I think the winner got like $100 taken off their rent one year. And I will never forget, my brother spent a couple years trying to get first place. He went total Clark Griswold. It was an apartment, so it wasn't huge, but he decorated the roof. He went all out, and the electric bill was expensive. The year he won, I remember he told us that he got the $100 knocked off his rent, but his electric bill for the month of December cost him like $400 more. So it didn't really come out on top, but he had a lot of fun trying, and that was the last year. After he won, he quit. He was done with it. He doesn't quite go to that level now that he's been in his house for like the last 25 years, but he definitely does remind me of Clark in that respect. He got so focused on that. But I mean, it's just another one. Classic Christmas movie. One of the probably one of the only National Lampoons with Chevy Chase that I watch on a very regular basis. The other ones I'll kind of catch if I find them on every now and then. But this one I watch and make sure I watch it every year. Another collection that gets watched without fail is the Peanuts Christmas. I mean, A Charlie Brown Christmas is just another classic movie. We watched all three of these. That's why I have the set. We watched obviously the Great Pumpkin, and then we just watched the Thanksgiving one over the holiday. It's another one I would say with the Rankin Bass and the Grinch. They're great to watch during the week because they're really without commercials and everything. You're only talking about like 20 some odd minutes of television, so it's really not a big time commitment. And it's one of those, I mean, at this point, you don't even really have to pay that much attention to it because I know the story so well. So sometimes I'll put stuff like this on in the background as I'm wrapping presents or something along that line, just to kind of put me in the spirit. But A Charlie Brown Christmas, again, it's another one of those, harkens back to my childhood where you had to be in front of the TV on a certain day at a certain time. It's really nice now that I can watch it whenever I want, but it just kind of takes me back to my childhood. So again, probably watched Charlie Brown Christmas every year since I was like 5 years old. So you think I'd be tired of it, but no, not yet. Before I get to the last two on my list, I want to talk about a couple that I think might be having a chance to crack the list of the yearly absolute must watch. And I would say the first one is going to be It's a Wonderful Life. I know this is an old movie, but last year, my wife and I were sitting there talking, and she was like, we ought to sit and watch A Wonderful Life because neither of us has seen it. And so I went out and bought it. Yeah, it was a blind buy, but I figured this movie's been around long enough. What are the odds of me not liking it at all? We sat down and we watched it, and we both absolutely loved it. And we've already started talking about, like, oh, we should watch that again. So I think this is one of those movies that probably has a chance of cracking that list of, like, we want to watch every year, or if not every year, it's going to be one of those, like, we'll rotate a new one in, because this year we've been talking about watching Miracle on 34th Street, neither of us have seen that one either. I would say the original. I haven't seen any of the versions of it, but I've never seen the original. We're sitting there, we're looking at this, and we already started talking about this again. I could see this one and another one being in the rotation on a yearly basis. And then another one is The Holiday. I know this is probably on a lot of people's list of, yearly watches already. I would say it's a great early 2000s rom-com, Jack Black, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet. It's just a very fun movie. We watched this on Saturday. As I'm filming this, we watched this a few days ago. And I remember I loved it before, I'd seen it before, but we absolutely loved it. It's just kind of one of those, you don't get a lot, I would say, of Christmas rom-coms. You get some, but I'd say this one probably rises to the cream of the crop, probably the best one in my opinion. And so we sat down and watched this, and we looked at each other and we're like, we could see this being a watch every single year to kind of kick off the holiday season. Now we're going to get to the final two on the list, and one of them is A Christmas Story. I know I've talked about this movie a couple times on various other videos that I've done, but this one, I have this version, and I also have the Blu-ray Steelbook. It is probably, well, these two are probably my favorite two Christmas movies of all time. It's 1A and 1B. Depending on the day, which one you ask would be the different answer that I would get. But I absolutely love this movie. I remember my dad, it was when the TBS, I don't know if TBS still runs that 24-hour marathon, because I don't have cable. So if you know, let me know in the comments if they still do that 24-hour marathon. But every year my dad would put that on Christmas Eve, when we would have our family tradition, our family meal on Christmas Eve. And then it would literally just roll through. And then I would leave my brother and dad's house that evening. I would come back the next day, it would still be on. But as a kid, we would watch it. And another one of those movies that I can still hear my dad's laugh as I'm watching this movie, because he absolutely loved this movie. I remember for the longest time I thought this was a much older movie than it actually is. For some reason, I thought this was a movie that was made in the 60s or 70s when I was a kid, not realizing everything just because of the time set and everything. But I know my dad, it said it always kind of brought him back to his childhood and the way things were when he was a kid. So I think for him, this was pure nostalgia. And it's become that for me now, even though, like, obviously I wasn't in the time frame that this movie takes place in. Just I would say the story in general, it's a timeless classic. Like, you can relate being a kid and that excitement for Christmas and wanting that one toy, and having your parents and trying to lay the hints, and having your parents tell, like, no, we can't get that kind of thing, or whatever the reason was. But just kind of that wish upon wish of, like, it's the one thing I want for Christmas, and that's what I want. And just kind of the everything that goes around the Christmas holiday, the whole scene at the end with the dogs and the turkey and the Christmas duck at the Chinese food place, probably my favorite part in the whole movie. I absolutely love those scenes, and it's just so hilarious. But I know even to this day, even though, like, we don't have cable, this is the one I will probably watch it before Christmas Day. But every Christmas Day, I put this in the player. I put it on the TV as we open presents, because I still just kind of want to feel that 24-hour period of opening presents as we're watching this movie. So even though it might still be on, to be perfectly honest, but I make my own version of that. I just don't bug my wife and sister-in-law with the 24-hour version. We don't let it roll through quite as much as me and my dad did. And then the last one on my list, and yes, this one, it is a bootleg. I talked about this in one of my haul videos. I picked this up a few months ago. But the movie Klaus, it is a Netflix movie. You can get it on Netflix. I just bought the actual disc. I did test it out. It works and everything. But I got this off eBay, and I bought the disc because this is just one of those movies that no matter what, I wanted to be able to have access to. I've been toying around with getting rid of my Netflix account, and honestly, one of the things this time of year keeps me around, other than Stranger Things right now, is having access to the movie Klaus. I'd have to be able to watch this movie, so I bought it on disc. I was like, they're never going to release it. I want to watch it whenever I want to watch it. If you don't know, I would say this is the origin story of Santa Claus, or a origin story of Santa Claus. So you have this character who is played by or voiced by Jason Schwartzman. You have Santa Claus, who is voiced by J.K. Simmons. You have Rashida Jones. There's a few other people in here whose names I cannot remember off the top of my head. And they're directed by, let me see, Sergio Pablos. Hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Absolutely adorable movie. So you have this character. He basically gets punished by his dad because he is such, I would say, his dad's well off. I think he's like the postmaster general, whatever it is, in that very high powered individual. And he sends his son to one of the furthest off places in this world to go work. And he gives him the test. He's like, you have 1 year to, I think it's like 1,000 letters. You have to gather 1,000 letters. And if you do it, you can come back home and you can live your cushy life and you don't have to work. But if you don't fulfill that need, then you're stuck. You get no more silk sheets. You're out of that cushy life for eternity. And so like he goes to this place, and you know where the story's going. It's basically like he gets up there, and what he thought was a punishment ends up changing his life forever. He meets Klaus, and his life is never the same again. And you kind of know, I don't want to give too much away, because honestly, this is the movie that if anybody asks me what movie they should watch at Christmas, I always tell them this, because I'm assuming a lot of the other ones they've already seen. I don't know how popular Klaus is, so this is one of the movies that I literally shout from the rooftops every single year. Like, if you watch one Christmas movie a year that you haven't seen, and you haven't seen Klaus, watch Klaus. It is that good. It makes me tear up every single year. It is such a great movie. So that's my list of the 10 Christmas movies that I watch every year without fail. I would say, as I'm filming this on, we're on December 3rd, I've already watched a couple of them already. I've already watched Klaus. I already watched Klaus. It kind of kicks off my holiday year right around Thanksgiving, but I usually end up watching Klaus at least twice, if not 3 times throughout the year. And then I also throw in, I don't have the disc of A Garfield Christmas, but I have the digital copy. That's another one that I would throw in there as a yearly watch for me as well, but I don't have the disc for that one because the DVD is surprisingly expensive. But that would be another one I would throw on the list, as kind of like, your number 11. But I hope you like this list. What holiday movies do you watch without fail every Christmas? Please drop them in the comments below. I would love to know. Maybe they're ones I haven't seen yet that I would like to check out. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And as always, collect what you love.